Good evening, everyone. I am pleased to be here for another speed advocacy event about House Bill 279, driver's licenses for all. House Bill 279 allows residents of Pennsylvania to legally obtain a driver's license with a tax ID number, otherwise known as an ITIN, which is a federally issued identifier used to pay taxes by those who do not have a Social Security number. It's currently in consideration before the Transportation Committee. And while there's no way to predict the timeline of this legislation, on August 11th, which is next week, there's a hearing that is being called in Harrisburg regarding House Bill 279. The hearing is going to be at 10 a.m. and you can watch the hearing live stream if you're not able to participate in person. I am unclear at this juncture whether participating in person is allowable given the COVID-19 variants, but we urge you to watch it. And even more importantly, we urge you to write a letter to the to the Transportation Committee so that you can let them know that you support this legislation and that you do so in time for August 11th. So I'm going to turn things over to my partner, Jordan Cole, who's going to tell us how you can easily and quickly send a letter to the Transportation Committee as well as to your representative in Harrisburg. Jordan.
Thank you so much, Kathy. Yes, as was mentioned, next week we're having a hearing, which is a very exciting development for this bill. And we want to keep the pressure going on all of our representatives. And to that end, we've put together this simple action webpage, which has some more information about House Bill 279. And we have the link in the chat and all on our website. So you can read more also about the Driving PA Forward Coalition. But a simple way you can let your reps know about this bill is to enter your information, very straightforward, your street address. And when you enter your address, it will populate not only your representatives, but also Tim Hennessy, who is the chair of the Transportation Committee. And it's important to mention that the Transportation Committee is a majority Republican. So we're really trying to win over those Republican representatives on the committee, as well as Rep. Hennessy. So this is not only applicable to folks that are in the Philadelphia metro area, but also those throughout Pennsylvania. We need their voices, and through this action, you take 5 minutes and show your support for the upcoming legislation. I should also note, too, that there is a spot right here in this field where you can add a personal story if you have been affected by a lack of access to a driver's license and how getting a legal driver's license would improve your life. Yesterday, I had the opportunity to speak with some other community organizers, and they told me that this bill is not just about having access to a car, even though having a car and driving illegally is extremely important. Having a state-issued ID is vital for many basic family functions. For example, you use an ID when you go to the pharmacy to pick up medication. And we're not just talking about prescriptions, we're talking about over-the-counter cold medicine. The community organizers mentioned that even to treat a simple cold, it's a challenge because they may or may not, their clients may or may not have IDs. Also at schools, parents may need to show ID to pick up their child, or they may need to go to the doctor's office and access their child's medical records. And without an ID, these tasks that seem routine and mundane to someone with a license become very difficult. So not only do parents need IDs to drive to work, but they also need IDs to take care of their families. So House Bill 279 is a direction towards public safety, towards economic advancement, and to strengthen protections for undocumented parents who are not only raising their children, but may be running small businesses. It makes sense in a compassionate level, but also economically. In Philadelphia alone, approximately 50,000 undocumented workers pay over $100 million in taxes. So by you showing your support and filling out this form, you promote public safety and economic advancement throughout Pennsylvania. So together, we can move the Commonwealth towards economic and social success.
Thanks so much, Jordan. And I do just want to make clear for all those who are listening out there that when we're talking about undocumented people, we're talking about people, even people who are eligible and who have petitioned to get status. But while you're waiting, because of the way the immigration system is set up, you don't have any documentation. So people that are eligible for status, petition for status, are simply waiting. They're stuck waiting for months and months, sometimes years. And so that's a situation where you want to be able to access the roads, and you want to be able to do it safely, which you can do with a driver's license, which is why this bill is so important. It's important for all of us so that we know that every driver on the road is in fact licensed. And so again, we urge you to go to the link in the chat, which takes you to this page. You can see the little car. Jordan is sharing his screen. And on this page, it will take you probably less than 5 minutes to fill out your name and send a note to your representative and to the chair of the Transportation Committee about how important it is for driver's licenses for all drivers in Pennsylvania, so we can make sure the roads are safe for all of us.
Yeah, and as you can see in that short time, I was able to fill out the form with my address. And then once I've submitted the form, I get this splash page where I can share the page on social media. So you can also copy and paste the URL at the top of your screen and share that as well. So we highly encourage you to share this amongst your networks, whether it be in social media or word of mouth, faith-based communities, or wherever you and like-minded people are working together to get this legislation passed. And I'll mention again that it's extremely important that we partner with other folks all across Pennsylvania. So a lot of undocumented workers are working in agriculture and have to commute to work long distances. And it's important that they have access to a driver's license so they can legally get to work and support their families.
Great. And I also forgot to say, and I was remiss, that we are happy to take questions in the comments. Those questions can be about this technology, StreamYard, about how to write those letters, or it can be about the substance. I'm happy to answer questions about House Bill 279. So please feel free to type those in the comments, and we would be happy to answer them in our remaining time.
Yeah, and maybe something important to mention is that this is not necessarily driver's license for all, right? What it does is it opens the door to access to obtain a driver's license. So when you go to the DMV, you have to provide your social security number just to sign up for the permit test and the eventual driving test. So the only difference is the individual would be also able to supply their tax ID number, but they would still have to go through the same process of taking the written test and then also taking the driver test. This benefits Pennsylvania community because it makes sure that everyone that's on the road is qualified. Furthermore, it allows those who have obtained their license, whether they have a social security number or an ITIN, to obtain driving insurance, which will actually lower premiums for everyone across the state. So this makes a lot of sense to provide more qualified and indemnified drivers across the roads in Pennsylvania.
Great. And, one more thing about writing letters. I did want to just make sure that everybody knows how important it is to write your legislator and the chair of the Transportation Committee. I know it can often feel like, you're writing letters and then you get a form response and it doesn't feel like you're making a difference. But in fact, legislators, whether on the state or federal level, keep track of every contact they receive about an issue. And that's how they know which issues they should care about, which issues they should push forward, and which issues they should kind of take a back seat about or aren't that important to their constituents, so they don't need to spend a lot of time. So these letters are really, really important, even if you only get a canned response, because it is a count in the column in favor of driver's licenses for all. So please make sure that you take a moment and fill this out, send a letter to your representative, send a letter to the chair of the Transportation Committee, and then share it on your own Facebook page with all of your friends and family so that they can do the same. Remember that there is a Transportation Committee hearing that will take place on August 11th. Today is August 4th. We hope that people will send letters every day from here until the 11th, so that by the time they have the hearing, the legislators that come to that committee hearing will say, wow, you know, my switchboard lit up. I got all of these letters, all of these calls about this issue. It seems like we really need to pass this bill. So.
Absolutely. And to be honest, this hearing was quite unexpected. The coalition Driving PA Forward did not expect to get any sort of traction until the fall, until the legislature was to reconvene after the summer recess. So it's the advocacy, not only in person petitioning, but also these letters that you submit that really bring attention to this bill and show the grassroots support for this legislation to pass the House.
And I'll share another thing with you, Jordan, and with our listeners. You know, a lot of people may not realize that driver's licenses for all, because of the complicated web of how our laws work, ends up being yet another systemic racist issue, because who are the drivers that are pulled over? For the most part, drivers that are pulled over for whatever reason are brown and black. So if they're brown and black immigrants and they don't have a license, then whatever they may have initially been pulled over for, driving while black, for example, or driving while brown, or because of a taillight that's out, they then get charged with a serious problem, which is that they've been driving without a license. And then that can cause lots of other ramifications later. So passing this bill is another step towards trying to fix our broken system of systemic discrimination against brown and black people. Because if brown and black immigrants are able to get licenses, then even though it may not resolve the problem of being pulled over for driving while black or brown, it will certainly resolve the problem of really serious consequences because of driving without a license. So it's a really important step for equity and for racial equality.
Absolutely, we can see the intersectionality, right, between the racial component, profiling of certain drivers, and also immigration. So, as in the case of a lot of these issues, there's definitely an overlap, and this policy is potentially pushing Pennsylvania to a more equitable place,
as well as safer roads, which we all want for all of us. Okay. Well, that was our 15-minute speed advocacy. We hope that you enjoyed it. We hope that you learned a new and exciting advocacy tool. And most of all, we hope that you write a letter every single day and share the mechanism for writing a letter every single day with all of your friends and family. Thank you so much.
Thank you.